Hello, folks! It's me again, Amanda Enderman, your trusty tour guide in the wonders of the wonderful city. In this particular video, you may, by watching the last video, you may have been wondering what is the theme of this particular video. It will be, drumroll please, the building of Rio. Well, we founded the city. We may as well. We may as well build it. Am I right? But before I get into the actual theme, just a few things. If you're new to this channel, be sure to subscribe. If you like the videos, you can give me a thumbs up, and please share the channel with as many people as you possibly can, so that they too can subscribe, and this channel can hopefully one day grow into a robust YouTube channel. Okay? That is the ultimate goal after all. And of course to have fun with you guys first and foremost. And also I'm very sorry, folks. The last video I forgot to show you a picture of the Outeiro da Glória, which I talked about. Okay, so this is it. Okay, the Outeiro da Glória, where I was baptized, by the way, as I said before, as I believe I said before. So this is it. Very worthwhile visiting. Okay. By the way, if you're new to this channel, please watch the presentation video on the, in this case, on the videos in English playlist, so that you can see what this channel is about, who am I, and what I intend to do here. So, folks, regarding this particular theme, if this were an actual tour, okay, I would be starting with you at precisely this location over here in Rio. Okay? This particular location. So this is none other than the 1º de Março Street. So the 1º de Março Street was the very first paved road ever in the city of Rio, though its original name was, roughly translating, right-hand street. Okay? And incidentally, I'm always referring to Rio as the wonderful city. Okay, because, well, it is the name by which it is known worldwide, thanks to the song of the same name, which was actually a carnival march written in the 40s, and which nowadays is the anthem of the city of Rio. However, wonderful city, actually, if we would go back to the 1500s, when Rio was first being built, it would have been called, mind you, the impossible city. Yes, you heard me right. The impossible city. Because if we were to give, because you see, Rio originally, by its original geography, had lots of mountains, okay, and very little ocean level, shall we say, ground level space to build things, and lots of rivers, lakes, and marshlands all over the place. This was the original geography of Rio. So suffice it to say, if we were to give Rio with its original geography to any architect or urbanist or anything like that nowadays, he or she would say, "Oh my God, this isn't possible. I cannot build a city here. Absolutely not." Okay, so. But you may be also thinking, okay, so she said, so as a matter of fact, Rio grew in between mountains, okay? And you might be thinking, so yes, you told us in the last video about the foundation of Rio, that Rio was founded between two mountains, the Sugarloaf and the other mountain called Cara de Cão. So Rio grew between those two mountains, you mean, right? Nope. Nope, I do not mean that. Actually, Rio started growing not even in the neighborhood of Urca. Nope. Okay, Rio started growing in the neighborhood, which nowadays is the downtown area of Rio. That was the actual uh, uh, growing place, shall we say, of Rio, where Rio began to expand. It expanded from there. But why was that? Why, you may be asking, why move to a whole different neighborhood, a whole different part of the city? Why not just start building from where it was founded? Well, remember the wars that I mentioned that took place between the Portuguese and the French? Okay, with Estácio de Sá, that whole thing. So the people, the regular people, they were simply in the middle of the crossfire. So imagine living in the middle of a crossfire between French and Portuguese. There's no way you can live and build a city and all of that in those conditions, right? So, so how can I say? So the people, they moved to where nowadays is the downtown area. And as I was saying, in fact, Rio started growing, actually, expanding, but it first began on top of a mountain which nowadays no longer exists because it was taken down in the beginning of the 20th century, which is the Morro do Castelo. Actually, a mountain. No, I think I should say a hill. It would be the correct term. So this over here was, I should say, the Morro do Castelo. Okay, so, and you may be also asking, but wait a minute, why tear down mountains? What's up with that? So, as I said before, the Rio's geography made it impossible, at least that's what the people who built Rio thought, to actually build a city. So in order for there to be some kind of urban development, it was actually necessary to do a lot of landfilling and consequently a lot of taking down of mountains. And actually the castle, the castle hill, Morro do Castelo, was one of the examples of this. Though of course the castle hill was only actually taken down in the beginning of the 20th century because the sanitational experts at the time thought that the many diseases that still took over Rio all the time were due to poor air circulation. Well, they certainly made the air circulation better, for one, okay? But the diseases, well, remains to be seen, okay? So, thank God nowadays we have vaccines and medicines and all of that wonderful stuff. Am I right? Thank you, Lord. Okay, for that. So anyways, Rio grew, as I was saying, in the area between four mountains. So at first, people started occupying the Castle Hill. Okay, then people slowly started moving down toward the ground level and establishing themselves in the Primeiro de Março Street, or the right-hand street, Rua Direita. Okay, its original name. So I showed you the picture of the Primeiro de Março Street, but of course that picture is from nowadays. If we were to go back and see what, and have an idea of what this street looked like in the 1500s, this is what we would see. Okay? This is the Primeiro de Março Street as it was in the 1500s. By the way, this is not a picture, of course. This is a painting, okay, which was painted by an artist called Guta, which absolutely is a genius, okay, in terms of the details of his paintings. And his paintings are currently displayed in the Fundição Progresso. So also very worthwhile checking out. I mean, there's such a richness of details that it's out of this world. Okay, so So Rio grew. So after the people moved to the ground area. Okay, Rio grew between Rio first developed, I should say, between four mountains: the Castle Hill, which I showed you already, the São Bento Hill, which was basically on the other end of the Primeiro de Março or right hand street. So this is the São Bento Hill, okay? Uh, but basically, the only thing that you will find in the São Bento Hill is the monastery of Saint Benedict, which to this day is run by Benedictine monks. It's one of the oldest, if not the oldest, monasteries in Rio. If the monastery in Rio, it dates back to 1580, actually. So it really was built with the beginning of the city itself. Okay, and also there's a school which is the Saint Benedict School, which is also run by the monks. Okay, the Benedictine monks, and the actual and this is of course only a how can I say model which was inside the Rio Art Museum. Okay, so the actual monastery is this one over here. Okay, by the way, very worthwhile checking out because it is one of the only two remaining examples of the true Baroque style of architecture in Rio. Okay, the other one, and as a matter of fact, another of the four mountains where Rio first began growing is this one over here, the convent of Saint Anthony, or the church of Saint Francis of Penance, which is in the Largo da Carioca. Also very worthwhile checking out inside. The inside of the monastery of Saint Benedict is also beautiful, but the convent of Saint Anthony in the Lago da Carioca is even more outstanding. I mean, it's gold as far as you can see inside. In fact, fun fact, my current profile picture here on YouTube was taken there. I simply took a selfie. I didn't even have to work a lot for it. I just put my cell phone like this and took a selfie. That's how much gold you can see over there. So do check it out when you come here. Okay, so these are three of the mountains. I'm sorry. Oh boy, these are three of the mountains. So the last but definitely not least is the Conceição Hill. Okay, right over here. Okay, is the Conceição Hill, which is, so the Conceição Hill and the São Bento Hill, both of them are in the portuary zone of Rio. And definitely the Conceição Hill is also very worthwhile checking out. But I would recommend you going up there on foot is how you normally would do it, through the street, which is the Ladeira João Homem. In my experience, it's the easiest way to go up there in terms of physical effort. Okay, though of course there are several other streets that give access to the Conceição Hill, of course, but the easiest one in terms of physical effort, in my personal opinion, is this Ladeira João Homem. Okay, so one other thing that you may have noticed is that in each of these hills, and in the Conceição Hill, it also is the case. It's just that the picture that I got it didn't appear in the specific picture that I got, but in most of the pictures, especially the old ones, you can see that there either is a church or things began with a church. Okay, even in the very first paved road that I showed you, as far back as the 1500s, there was to begin with basically nothing but a church. And you may be asking, why, Amanda? Why does everything seem to begin with a church? So there are several reasons for that. Several, no, I'd say there are a few that are, yeah, there are a few reasons for that. So the first one, the most obvious one, is that the discovery and the settling of Rio and of Brazil, okay, started backed by the Catholic Church. Because one of the main purposes of colonizing Brazil was, of course, to spread the Catholic faith. Okay, so of course there had to be churches everywhere in order to do that. But other than that, there were other purposes as well. So the churches, they also serve the purpose of surveillance, meaning surveillance of the Guanabara Bay. Okay, in order to see if whether invaders were coming or not. And in fact, and as a matter of fact, that is why Rio began growing on top of a hill, because from the top of the hill is a lot easier for you to guard the entrance of the bay to see if invaders weren't coming. And mind you, those French invaders that I told you about in the video about the foundation of Rio, they kept on trying to invade Rio, and believe me, they were a nuisance up until the 18th century. As a matter of fact, up until the 1700s. So it was very important to have strategic points from where you could keep an eye on the entrance of the Guanabara Bay. Okay, so the churches, they also served that purpose. The bell towers, specifically, they were used precisely to watch over the bay. And if invaders would come, the monks or the nuns or whoever was living in the church or the convent or what have you, they would ring the bell, and there was a specific ring for that. So they would ring the bell to alert the authorities, as if to say, oh, go there, there are invaders coming, defend our coast, you know. And even another purpose of that was that churches literally dictated the life of the people. Okay, and in what sense? Well, basically, telling time itself. Okay, so you may have asked yourself at some point, Amanda, or how did people tell time back in the 1500s or in the Middle Ages? Well, the answer is by the ringing of the church bells. Yes, actually, much like in medieval Europe, there were 4 hours a day in which the bells of the churches would ring. Okay, so the first one was at 6 a.m. in order to summon everyone to morning mass. And in fact, the mere word breakfast comes from there, because the church also ordained that you can only break your fast from the night from the night, you know, because you're sleeping, so you're not eating, so you're technically fasting. So you can only break that fast after morning mass. After morning mass. So that's where the word breakfast comes from. Okay, and in every language, in the countries of that were Christian at some point at least, you have that connection. So the second ringing of the bells would be at noon, at midday. Okay, and the third one would be at 6 p.m. and even there was also a fourth one at midnight. Okay, and in fact, if you come to when you come to Brazil in general, you'll notice that the churches maintain pretty much this routine, except for the midnight bell ringing, which thank God for that, because I can tell you, it's sometimes, if you live close enough to a church, is already annoying to be awoken by church bells at 6 a.m. on a Sunday, you know. And so imagine how even more annoying it would be to be woken up by bells on at midnight. You know, when you're sound asleep and then bang, bang, bang. Imagine that. Okay? Not something I would want for myself. so, anyways, so my friends, this concludes this video about the building and the early growth of the city of Rio. Oh, by the way, before I actually finish, you may be wondering one thing. But Amanda, when did Rio actually start being settled? Okay, so actually, at first the Portuguese, they didn't think of settling in Brazil. Okay, their intention at first was just to come here, get goods such as Brazil would, and take them back to Europe. They weren't they didn't have the intention of populating Brazil at all. It wasn't actually until the 1530s that, because Brazil was discovered in 1500, as I said in the first video. So but it wasn't until the 1530s that the Portuguese realized that if they didn't settle here, they may lose their colony altogether. Okay, so that's why you can see even in the city and the city of Rio also follows that pattern, that Rio was discovered in 1502 but only actually founded in 1565. Okay, so Rio started growing at this point. Okay, so now it's for real, folks. This concludes this episode of this video, I should say. So this concludes the video about the building of Rio. Stay tuned for the next video, and I can't tell you yet what the theme will be, because I myself am in doubt of a few themes that I should choose for, between which I should choose for the next video. So stay tuned. Okay, see you in the next video.